Today we are going to make Native American or Indian corn, and you might see it this time of year where it's really colorful and it's quite beautiful. It's not meant to be eaten, but it's meant to be put out on the table or hung up maybe on your door. And we are going to draw this together as a group today. So you can either hold your paper either direction, it doesn't matter. I'm going to actually start in pencil just so you can get the idea, because you're going to press lightly. You are using pencil for the whole first part. I'm just using it for this first part. Start out, you're going to start with a curve, come down on each side, and then come in and round it, kind of like a short stubby pencil. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Come up, curve, come down, try to like match it up as best as you can, and then make it a short stubby pencil again. You're doing this very lightly. I am just doing it dark so you can see what's going on. Now what you are going to do next is use your pencil. I would start out at the top. Actually, I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to start making my kernels. So take your time and make your kernels. Now some of the kernels are not going to make it all the way to the edge. Some are going to have to get curved like that and cut off. Because if you ate an ear of corn, some of your corn obviously is going to rotate around the corn cob. So every couple, maybe switch it up, maybe even pop it out to the side. You can go beyond the shape if you want. Some of them might be curves like this, so you only see half of it. Like that. So you're going to fill up this whole kernel with ovals. Do a little bit better job than I did and try to detach them to each other. That one just looks like somebody took a little bite out of it. When you get to the bottom, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but the kernels towards the bottom actually get smaller. So towards right about where the chubby pencil part is, you're gonna actually start making little tiny ears. So they're gonna be little tiny little kernels down here. And the same thing up here. Up here is gonna have actually some tiny kernels also, a little smaller. Not as small as the bottom, but some small ones. So you're going to take your whole time and start working. And I'm going to actually make some bump ones on the side here. Oops, that's a square. And then start making your ovals. So you're going to fill up the whole kernel, all these kernels on this cob. I'm just going to keep going. This you are doing in pencil, because if you make a mistake like I did over here, that way you can fix it later on. And so we're going to keep going down and down. Like I said, these should be smaller when they start getting down here. Start getting like to a medium size. And then you can add some on the side like they got chopped off like this. Okay, so add some on the side that they're getting like almost chopped off. Same thing here. You're going to do the exact same thing on the other kernel. Now to start the top of the ears of corn, you're going to make the husks. So you're just going to make these random flowing shapes. Okay, maybe you have one, you can even come down and loop it back up to give it like a curve. Okay, then you're going to add some little lines for the husks. And make sure you do some towards the bottom right here too, so it really looks like they're coming out from the corn. So right now it should look like an ear of corn, or it looks like a bunch of polka dots. You get to do the fun part now, which is to paint or use crayon to color it. I'm going to do some in paint and I'm going to do some in crayon just to show you. So most of the time, Native American corn is natural colors. They're usually reds, browns, yellows, blues. You usually don't have any greens except for the husk part. So these are usually natural colors. But if you want to make them rainbow colors, that is fine for this project. But I do want to go over how you're going to color. So let's say you're going to color this one right here. If you're going to color your kernel, but you're going to leave a white space like that. So let's say I do another one here. Leave the little white. So I'm coloring most of it, but I'm leaving that little white. That gives it the reflection. Here, I'll do another one. Why don't I do purple? Same thing. And if you find this is too hard with paint, guess what? Do it with colored pencil or crayons. It might feel too tiny with a brush. Some of you might have a tiny brush, some of you might not. If you don't have a tiny brush, I suggest using colored pencil and crayon. So I'm actually using a really small brush for this one. I think this brush is actually going to be a little too big. So let me show you how you do the same thing in paint. You take the paint, I go around the shape, same thing, I just leave the white. I'll do another one, do same color over here. And you're going to mix these up. Oop, I have a little puddle. So if you have a little puddle, use your paper towel, press down, tap. Crayon. I'll do one more for you. Let's pick another color. Let's do blue. Same thing, go around, paint the side and leave a bit white. So that's going to make it look like it has a reflection. When you get to the stalks or the husk, you can actually paint these a couple of different ways. You can start with like maybe one color, add like one color, and then I suggest, to be honest, I would make them green, but add another color on the bottom just to give you a little bit of a little different color to it. You can even use a dark green if you want. You'll have like a nice blue, but I would stick with greens and blues up here. That way it doesn't get too confusing with the rest of it. It'll still give it a colorful experience, but it'll give it a little different look so it changes it. There's one last thing that we did not do that you can do afterwards. Once you have painted your corn, this bottom one, you can either use your pencil once you've done coloring everything, or you can use a paint. You're actually going to do a little bit of a shadow right here. So take your paper and just smear it right here so you have a shadow. Same thing on the top, right up here. And smear. If you're using a crayon, same thing, just very lightly, you'll color over. And remember, this one's going to have all kernels too. Okay? It would be a lot easier if my paper wasn't wet. So I'll just show you what it would look like if you go over the, that's what it would look like. Okay? So I just want you to see what it looked like. Don't do that there. Do it right here and here. The last step of your project is to paint your background one color that you would like. So if you want your background to be orange or green, take your time and paint it one solid color. I think once you have all these colors here and here, you're not going to want to do that many. So once you get to this part, you are going to paint the background or use your crayon. I'll just use a crayon for now. And you're going to color the whole rest of your picture using your crayon or your paint. It's your choice which one you are using. I know some of you have paints at home, some of you don't. If you don't, we'll use crayon. If you don't have crayon, use color pencil. Use whatever you have. The last step is this. If you do this part with crayon, you are going to press harder right under your corn, just like this on the bottom piece. If you are doing paint, you're just going to have to put more paint right here and press, go harder with your paint, and then lightly paint the rest, like this. So this part would be lighter. I know that's a lot of steps. Hopefully the example that I posted for you guys will help you guys out. Take your time, go slow. This is not a quick assignment at all. It's probably going to take you a while to draw all of this, and it's going to take you a while to trace everything. So maybe one day, take a break, draw everything, maybe then trace everything another day, and then maybe on the third day, take your time to color. Because the coloring part's actually really fun. But to color all these kernels does take a while. So I suggest, like I said, break it into 3 days. The first day, draw it. The second day, trace it, and the third day, I would paint it or color it. When you are finished, make sure that you take a clear picture with your phone or your camera. You can either email me the picture, or we can put it up on Schoology. There's lots of ways you can send it to me, and we can talk about that later. But please take your time, go slow, and like I said, you're making Native American or Indian corn, or maize corn, it's also called.